Women podcast. For your career and your life, no matter what business you're in.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Northern Power Women podcast. I'm Sam Walker, she is Simone Roche, and actually we should have a little trumpet or a fanfare, shouldn't we, Simone? Because this is the start of season 3 of the Northern Power Women podcast.
I can't believe it. Season 3 and a year on from doing season 2 lockdown. This season 3 we're delighted to bring to you, supported by the Be Heard platform. Be Heard is a brand new platform that is all about shaping and levelling up the media and events industry. You've heard us talk about it before, but we've gone out and we've only gone and built another platform, and we want to use this to literally have your voices heard. And so in our season 3, we've kind of mixed up the format a little bit, haven't we? We've got new questions for the life lessons, and we've also got our high fives as well. So we want your voices heard and we want those conversations to be started. But please do sign up to help us shape Be Heard. The real life platform will be going super live in a couple of weeks. But right now, please sign up at be-heard.io.
That is where you can go and be part of what is going to be a revolution in the voices you hear on the media. be-heard.io. Please go and have a look, sign up, put your details in, because from the point of view of someone who was in the British media, on the radio for nearly 20 years, I know what it's like when you're in a newsroom, as I was at 5 Live, and your programme is going live in an hour and you're thinking, we need an expert on coronavirus or an aviation disaster or an earthquake that's happened. And you know what? It's a tough environment to be in for the producers, because they are thinking, we're going live to air in an hour. Who do we know who's amazing, who could talk on this? And you might be a fantastic woman in nuclear or woman in the transport industry or the chemical engineering industry, but we don't know you're there. We do not know that you are there and available to talk. And there's been a lot of anger, rightly so, against the media. And this is nothing against older white men, because they do have a lot of expertise and a lot of knowledge and passion to bring to the party. But we don't want to hear from the same voices all the time. Of course we don't. So it's a case really of getting your name in there so your name is in the mix, because we want to start this kind of real wind of change in the media, in the voices that we hear. So please, please, please come and sign up. be-heard.io, because we would love to hear what you have got to say.
And equally, it's for events as well. The fabulous Advita Patel, she's got a global diversity in action conference, and equally, she's got a brilliant sort of landscape of speakers on there. So again, it's when people come to me asking for, do I know somebody who, or whatever, we'll give, we want people to be able to use this as a resource as well. She was absolutely, couldn't find, a particular demographic of expertise this week. And, that's what we want to be able to use the platform for. We've also got an Invest North conference where we've kind of amplified some brilliant young voices as well to be part of a wider, sort of changing the landscape of diversity conversation as well. So it is not just about having a database for fun. It's about having something that will absolutely make impact. So thank you, Be Heard, for supporting season 3 of the podcast.
I'll sort out the American branch for you at a later date. That's no problem at all. We'll do that. Now, look, I know we're 2 weeks on, but we do have to say what an incredible Northern Power Women Awards extravaganza that was. I was sitting here with a posh rock on my top half, my jammies and my slippers on my bottom half. I had a brew because it was a bit early in the morning. But you know what? You must be so super, super proud, Simone, of your entire team, because that was not like any other online awards I've ever been part of. It was fantastic.
It was so different in some respects. Zoom rooms and Zoom tables. Oh my gosh, I think I'm still having nightmares about, move to room. So thank you for all of you, those who burned with us while we got into the right spaces. 900 people at Zoom tables. Wow. And you know what? We didn't need to do it because people could have just set their own rooms up, but we really wanted to encourage people to connect and encourage people to be together. Then 1,100 people watched the stream on the night or watch the live stream. And I love the fact that I got a brilliant email off Graham Lucas from Michael Page, and they won the large organisation. Yes. And he talked about, Simone, you should rightly, take a walk today in a bit of fresh air and look up and take in what you created last night. And he says, and the reason is because there's something in the fact that you saw the emotion on the screens, which you wouldn't normally. It's a very Oscar moment, wasn't it? Where you see that emotion. Yeah. And then he says it was the craziness of this ridiculous ambition you had to get trophies into people's hands with the secret agents and the secret missions. It wasn't as easy as just getting a courier. We had to find people within a postcode letter away, so people weren't, sort of going out of area region. And it was those bits that made the difference. Yeah. And getting the podcast at the end was again crazy. People at various stages of total delight and intoxication, I think, as well. But it was absolutely.
Let's be honest. Some drink had been taken by some people. It added to it all.
But we could never have done that. When could we have ever got all those winners and commended and judges as special recommendations again? So, and guess what? We broke all records. Can you believe it? In this world where we're everything's different and we're innovating, but we actually broke records. 25 million impressions across social media channels, and still rising. How amazing is that?
Yeah, that is just fantastic. And as I said, you need to be very, very proud of what you achieved and your amazing team as well, because it was spectacular. And, even early morning as it was for me, it still felt like an event. It still felt like I was part of a really fantastic movement. Little touches of when the winner was announced, the fact that on screen it turned into a map and the map flew to which part of the north they were in. I loved that. It felt like I was part of this happening. So really, really well done. I did love it. And I thought Nina did a great job as well. First year I've not presented the awards for you. It was a bit, it felt a bit like, oh my gosh, this is the new stuff. She was fabulous. I thought it was brilliant. Really spot on.
But you were there. You were part of it. And, and I tell you what, let's chuck a live recording of the podcast, and at the end, what the hell?
Why not? Why not? No, it was fabulous. Really, really well done. So happy days. Look, we've got our new life lessons coming up shortly. We've got brand new questions, which I am loving already, hearing your responses to those. We're going to introduce to you our high fives as well. This is something else we want you to be part of every single week. That is to come. But I wanted to talk, first of all, Simone, really, after the excitement of the awards and celebrating these fantastic women and men in all the work that they do, this week's been a bit of a strange one for me, but in a positive way. So, as you know, I've been lucky enough to be really overwhelmed with work. It's been a bit full on at times. And so when my daughter's half term rolled around, or spring break, as they call it here, they weren't going down with the whooping teenagers to Daytona Beach in Florida. They're a bit young. So we booked a little cabin in South Arizona. Anyway, it was really obvious as time approached that I was just not able to take the time off. And I said to Dave, my husband, you go with the girls and take the dogs, please. Thank you. Go down to this cabin for 4 days, 3 nights, and I'll stay home because I've got loads of work to do. And it was all good, all fine. It's really struck me how much caring still is part of our lives as working women. Because the last 3 days where I've had no one to look after but myself, I felt like I've been on holiday. Do you know what I mean? It sounds a ridiculous thing to say, but the fact that I've been able to sit at my desk and not thought, right, now I need to go and make someone's lunch, and I need to go and put that wash on, or do the school homework, or walk the dog. Even animals, you kind of forget how much responsibility they are. I've sat there before for a couple of hours and thought, oh, I haven't let the dog out. Oh no. And I thought, oh, she's not here. They're not here. It's fine. They're not here. And it's interesting because Ganan talks in their life lessons this week about the guilt of being a working parent that doesn't go away. And, we know that it's not going to go away. But being able to sort of plow through and get the work done that I needed to get done, I'm now dead excited about them coming home later on today. But I just thought we don't realise the mental burden that we have of caring, which goes on top of all the work that we do in our sort of career as well. And I know we've talked about the mental burden of caring, whether it's for a parent, whether it's a spouse, whether it's a child, whether it's animals, for goodness sake. But as women, we do take on this incredible mental burden. And I didn't realise how much it was until I've been free of it this week.
And I had a meeting at the end of last week with a professor up at the university, and I said, "Oh, what is it? You're not homeschooling anymore. How is that?" And she says, "Do you know what? It's so hard, actually. I've heard a lot of people, oh my goodness, thank God, no more homeschooling, whatever. But actually, we've now got to factor in again the school runs, two kids, two different schools, two different areas, back again." And she goes, you kind of forgotten how much you've got into that routine, or at least you can kind of go fingers on lips kind of thing, or and
if your children are older and capable of setting up the Zooms and doing all that themselves, you're right. I would be at my desk for 8 o'clock in the morning, but now from next week here in Arizona, I've got to start taking them back to school again. And my husband's here, we do tag team it, but still you think, oh yikes, I can't have a meeting at that time anymore. I've got to factor all that extra time in my day. No, it definitely, and it's that whole.
And I think there is that. You think about the going back, or what does the new future of work look like? It is. You talked about pets. There's a factoring in that as well. Well, who's going to do that? Are they going to have to go into a daycare centre or whatever? And the kids.
People got dogs in lockdown. Yeah.
there is a whole thing, isn't there, about the depression of animals coming out of this? But yeah, there is. I was listening to Ganan's, the life lessons about that guilt factor. Obviously, you've got my family, my mum, and even last weekend or the weekend before, it was Mother's Day. And last year, I didn't see my mum, and can't see this year. And it's just that it is that, oh gosh, well, could have just got, and you can't do this, but it's that constant sort of pressure. Rob's got caring responsibilities at the moment for his mum. It's tough. It's a tough balance all round, isn't it? Which whatever caring responsibilities you've got, it is a tough mental pressure.
It is 100%. I make a podcast here for a parents magazine about becoming a new mum, or a mom, of course, as they say here. And one of the great guests that I've got on the podcast is a woman called Lauren Smith Brody, who's written a book called The Fifth Trimester. So the first 3 trimesters are when you're pregnant. The 4th trimester is when you're sort of postpartum, as they say here, when you're a new mum. What's the 5th trimester? It's the birth of the working mother. And she talks about that transition of back to work. The 5th trimester, the name of the book. And she posted a great thing on her Instagram the other day. She said, I don't ask women now whether they're working mothers or not. All mothers work. It's whether they're paid for that work or not. That's the difference. And that's what we mustn't forget. There is so much caring responsibility that we take on, whether we're mothers or not, that is unpaid. And it's just really a bit of a props to everyone who has any caring responsibilities at all, that we do see you and we're aware how tough it can be. But onwards. You know what? We've talked so much about Ganan's life lessons. Should we hear them?
Oh, well, Ganan is an ambassador of our Be Heard platform. And we've had Ganan as a guest host as well, haven't you? When you were probably in one of your, an RV jaunt or
recreational
something like
vehicle. Yeah.
So broadcaster, presenter, social entrepreneur, so many levels of experience to pass on. Here's Ganan.
My name is Ganan Adamu. I'm a producer, presenter and social entrepreneur and founder of I Woman Academy, CIC. So when have you felt the fear and done it anyway? I would definitely say starting my own business was a big fear of mine, even though it was something that I wanted to do for a very long time. It was the insecurity and the lack of confidence that had stopped me. And one day I thought, well, why not? What do I need to do to get there? And, I pushed through, and it's the best decision that I made was starting my own business. I'm still, sometimes I do struggle with imposter syndrome. However, start my own business was still a good decision. What's a commonly accepted rule of business that you have found not to be true? Oh, definitely, when they say you have to work 24 hours to show how passionate you are about your business, it's definitely a rule of business that is not true. And I learned that the hard way, because I became so mentally drained and fatigued, and I wasn't being the best mum that I thought I could be. And now, I got myself to a place where I do work around 9 hours. I can split that up during the day. I can do it as a 9 to 5. I can do it as a 3 till 10. Whatever way, I try and keep within those 9 hours. I try not to exceed more than 10, 11 hours, because then I'm going back to, it's easy to go back into those old habits. So yeah, be mindful of your time, be mindful of your mental health as well. What has surprised you about work and life? So I'm in a very privileged position. So, I still have my day job with the BBC, which is one of my biggest passion, radio presenting, and I'm a social entrepreneur as well. So I work on my business as well. So I'm doing two big jobs that are my biggest passions and my biggest love. So I would definitely say I never thought that in a million years that as a grown up that I'll be doing things that I absolutely loved. And it's true what they say, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life, and I stay true to that. When has a failure turned out to be a positive experience? So not a lot of people know this, but I had a business back in, I think it was 2013, and it failed. It absolutely failed, and I was gutted that it failed. However, through that failure, iWoman was born, and I definitely feel that if I wouldn't have failed on that business, I wouldn't have this golden nugget, this golden egg that I am absolutely obsessed with. So we need to celebrate failure as much as possible, and I think it's something that we don't do enough in the UK. So failure for me is definitely part of your success factor and part of your journey to becoming a successful entrepreneur. So do not be afraid of failure. If you're a working parent, how do you cope with the guilt factor? You never do. It's something that I still struggle with now. However, I know that what I'm doing is for the benefit of my son, of my family. And, sometimes as parents, we do overcompensate. I do anyway. So sometimes I'll go extra with presents and, the materialistic things, and holidays and stuff like that. However, one of the the key things I've started doing more now that my son is getting older is having those conversations and explaining to him why mummy does what she does. And that has actually helped our relationship. So he knows that mummy is working the way she does because it's to benefit us, it's not just for the sake of working, but being able to show him, work ethic and loving what you do. So yeah, but I'd definitely say that the guilt factor never goes. It's just how you handle it and be mindful of your health and your mental health especially. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Ganan. I loved her life lessons. We really should mention her amazing taste in earrings as well. We know that she's an incredible entrepreneur, an amazing mother, a broadcaster, and yet she always looks incredible as well. She really, really does. Big fan of her. And do you know what? I love what she said there about the guilt. The fact that, do you know what? Of course, it doesn't just go away. We don't expect it to. But I love the fact that she said she started now to sit down with her son and have those conversations about work and responsibility. But it goes back, doesn't it, to the fact that, I've had those same conversations with my daughters about, do you know what, sometimes I need to work late and, daddy needs to make your tea, or daddy needs to take you away for 3 days to a cabin because mummy's got to work. But I also want them to grow up not thinking the only way to validate yourself is to work outside of the home, because we should also give props to women who do work in the home and are full-time working mothers, because that is also an incredibly, incredibly hard job. So I loved that.
And I really so it's great actually having the new questions, isn't it? And I love this question, which you've definitely got to think about, but what's a commonly accepted rule of business that have you found not to be true? And I thought, I keep hearing this advice and I don't act on it. I'm terrible, but it's like, but the advice is you do not have to work 24 hours a day to show how passionate you are, so she works 9 hours and she splits the day up, and I do 9 to 5 and 3 till 10. And I try to keep within that 9 hours. And, so I think there's a discipline there. There's a real discipline. And I know when we approached Ganan about being an ambassador, she went, And she went away and she went, oh, can I just look? Because if I want to do it, I want to make sure I can do it. And I thought, oh, maybe she doesn't. Maybe it's an excuse. Maybe she doesn't really want to do this or whatever. And it wasn't. It was about, actually, I need to see if I'm going to do it. Like anything, we want to do things well, don't we? Whatever we take on. And it was factoring in to that hours, factoring into the stuff that you are, if you like, you're paid for, the stuff that you're innovating, the stuff that you want to do more of. So yeah, I thought that was really good. And I'll keep having to read it back and I probably won't pay any attention. I won't do my own 9 hours, but I'm going to try.
Try, definitely. Look, before we head off into the sunset, we want to introduce a new little feature on the podcast, which we're going to do every single week, and that is giving your high five. It's a chance for you to really just salute. I'm saluting as I say it. Somebody who you think has gone above and beyond, done something outside of their comfort zone, done something to make your life easier, whatever it may be. It's your chance to give a high five. So we'll tell you how you can get in touch and do that for next week. But Simone, who's yours this week?
Well, mine is to Blue Point Marina. Okay. So I had a very scary experience last week. Still, I don't think I've processed it. Woke up at 5:30 in the morning to an alarm going off on the boat. It was the carbon monoxide alarm going off on the boat. Opened the engine room and the batteries which power the boat were, well, it was full of smoke. It was full of smoke and we're bubbling and we're obviously running around, turning off electrics and stuff like that. And then I'm like, we literally left the boat to get the the bad gas, if you like, out of our lungs. And, then I'm starting to worry about, oh gosh, we've got the freezer in the fridge and turning all that off and what will we lose? And Blue Point Marina came literally to the rescue and they went, you didn't ever really need to worry about your fridge or your freezer. You needed to worry that in probably another hour or so, the whole boat could have blown up. So I know, scary stuff. So a massive high five to the team up there who have kind of re-batteried us and made us safe. But, sometimes when you think there's certain stuff going on and around your world, you think of that and you think, well, yeah, forget about your freezer. Worry about life.
Yes. Oh, well, I'm really glad you're okay. But man alive, that's one heck of an experience to go through. But thank goodness, yeah, all is okay. Oh, never blooming rains with you, Simone, does it? Well, this week, I just want to give a big high five to my 9-year-old daughter, actually. She's had quite a lot of behavioural problems over the last year or so, maybe a little bit before. It is a pre-COVID thing, absolutely. We didn't really understand what was going on. But a very long story short, we've started some work now with a doctor here. She has been diagnosed with having ADHD, which did not come as a surprise at all. There's a lot of behaviours that have been really, really upsetting for her, more than I think for us, although it has also been really difficult and really challenging. And for her now to sit down and start talking with this doctor, all via Zoom as they do now, she was really scared, bless her. She was really nervous. And we talked it through a lot with her, but she's now getting some help to give herself some coping strategies for when things become very overwhelming for her, when she can't see anything in front of her. It was starting to really affect her schoolwork. And it's a scary thing to sort of, as a parent, to embrace that perhaps you do need to look at your child needing some extra help and support. But really to see her step into the unknown, to start to help her learn to deal with her behaviours when they do become overwhelming. This little 9-year-old taking that step, that step on her own journey was really lovely. So I'm dead proud of her, really, really proud of her.
Wow. And we have set the bar quite dramatic there, haven't we, then, with our 2 high fives?
We don't need to be.
Sorry, please don't. Sorry. But we haven't seen each other for a couple of weeks, have we, in our recording, because we've had our live and our videos and stuff like that. But please do share your high five. What and who do you want to high five? This has come from every week. We have a team high five Zoom call on a Friday at 5:00, and we talk about what the high five for the week. We also have the other question. The only other question is what you're having for your tea, but please feel free to share that. But tell us on our social channels. Tell us at North Power Women on Twitter, across Northern Power Women on Instagram or Facebook. But let us know what your high five is or who your high five is. And we will shout out a few of them on this section of season 3 of the podcast in partnership with Be Heard platform.
Absolutely. Well, look, You and I are disappearing off into the sunset as ever. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you to be-her.io for supporting season 3 of the Northern Power Women podcast. Do get in touch. Tell us your high fives. We'd love you to share your life lessons as well. All the details, head to northernpowerwomen.com and it will tell you how you can get in touch. The next episode is coming your way on Monday, March the 29th. Until then, she's Simone Roche, I'm Sam Walker, and the Northern Power Women podcast is a What Goes On media production.